What is up, everybody? This is going to be a series that's going to span the next week or two of videos going over every single character and the changes that happened to them for Season 2. And a lot of it is also going to be a reactionary, where I haven't really read them and gone into depth with it. And the reason I've waited with doing this to now is because we actually have like the game with the patch on it, and we have the patch notes. So I feel like it's much easier to see what the changes are gonna be when you actually can like try it in the game, instead of me just reading up a patch note to be like, ooh, that sounds strong, or ooh, that I can't visualize how that's gonna look. So now we can at least like, you know, go through each character with the patch notes and see what the hell happened to them. So let's get right into it. And before we go over characters, I thought we gotta go over the universal mechanics. I will say I did record 2 characters and the universal mechanics before this, but my sound corrupted, so it's not gonna be as reactionary as the first take, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. So we are in training mode right now. We have Viking behind us because Viking is an all-around good character, and she's gonna be good to show like some of the changes that happened. And let's just go through it. Here to start with, there's a wall of text, so I'm just gonna like, yeah, we're just gonna read what they're saying. So basically, we made it more rewarding to use moves that have been underutilized and techniques requiring challenging inputs, while also making the controls more comfortable. And here comes the system changes. Roman cancels. Cancel into normal special moves from Roman cancel now triggers slowdown effects and limits the tension gauge cost. So we're just gonna go through the wall of text with the universal mechanics because honestly, like, they describe much better what is actually changed, depend on like the boxes down below it. So now you can, if we see the bar in the bottom here, we have the RC, and as you can see, it actually like goes down over time. So now you can actually cancel the RC into move, and you still have some of the bar left. That's new compared to before. And if you don't like cancel the slowdown, you just lose it all. On top of that, if you hit a character with the Roman cancel, we're just gonna call it RC cancel, they also get into a slowdown effect. So like, as you can see, if they get hit by the blue here, at the end of it, they have this like slowdown. Beforehand, if you canceled out of the slowdown to the move, they wouldn't have been slowed down. So like, so if you do the cancel now, you can see he's also like in this slow down effect. That's not how it used to be before. So that's like a really big change to how RCs work, and it's very interesting. It makes offense way better because now you have some meter left. So that's really funny how they keep making offense better and better in the game. Like this with a wall break is probably gonna be pretty crazy to some characters. Now, the next one. Counter hit. Some moves such as standing P or crouching K now triggers a slowdown effect on counter hit, making combos not normally possible available. This seems kind of crazy to me too, especially for my character Sato, which we're gonna go over in a second. But basically now, if you hit them with, and it looks weird to me, it looks like we're like losing frames. But basically, oh, my bad. So this is how it looks. This looks crazy to me, like from a visual standpoint, because it looks like you're losing frames. But it's kind of interesting because, like, as it says, you can get combos you didn't actually get before. So like you could do like hit confirm that, and probably a lot of other stuff. So that's also a new change. Faultless defense. We looked into finding a way to improve the issue where sometimes a normal attack would come out when inputting faultless defense under certain conditions. However, due to a high chance of losing control responsiveness when changing the current input method, we addressed it by adding faultless defense button. See, what they're talking about here is there's an issue in the game where, like, if you FD, you can see now I'm doing FD, right? If we're doing FD but we don't have any meter, a button comes out. So like, if you aren't paying attention to how much meter you have and you're trying to FD and you don't have meter, there's a huge chance you're gonna get counter hit because it's either your slash, or at least in my case I use slash and H's. I guess you could use these for it to be a bit faster, the punching K, but like, yeah. So that's a bit annoying. So what they do to address it is they added a button. Personally, I don't think I'm gonna use this button. They added a button here, like a dash button for this defense button. I don't think I'm gonna use that, but it's in the game now. It might be really nice for controller players. I don't know if they have buttons left on their controllers for it, but here's what it is. Next thing, revised input mechanism for moves with the same input for grounded and aerial versions. Example, Baiken's Tatami Gashi. Now this is why I picked Baiken, because the first time I actually did this, I kept trying to do because like if you do the new you can cancel this into special moves too to get some meter back, and I actually wanted to test that out, and I wanted to do the air version of the slash. So this, yeah, I'm even having trouble with this now. I had trouble doing this before, and I actually didn't know it was because they changed that input. But now, basically, there's a new priority system for special moves in the game, where the air move has less priority than the grounded move. So if you accidentally input a up with the half circle move from Baiken, this move, if you press, I'm accidentally inputting up now with it, and now if I don't delay the S button, the rope comes out. Beforehand, I would most likely have gotten the air move, but now I actually have to wait just a split second before the air move will come out instead. This is like I used to play Adon in Street Fighter 4, so I used to do these kind of moves a lot with instant air moves, as an instant anti-aggro kicks is a very normal thing to do with that character. And this feels way more like Street Fighter 4, where like, so before it was kind of really, it was easy, I would say. It was easy to get the instant air version, which there's nothing wrong with that. This feels kind of awkward now, but it feels more like Street Fighter 4 cancelling it into instant air moves. So it is what it is. Yeah. And then they have some more text about like, as measured to make users of the ground and the other versions distinct for some characters, when a special move was input as a jump started, the aerial version would come out at the low height mid-air if the upwards direction. There's only strict input requirements, so we made the grounded versions activate even when the upwards inputs. It's funny because they do this because they feel like you had to be very strict with getting like the grounded to Tatami Gashi, but now you actually have to be strict with doing the air move, which is most, like, let's be real, that's probably the one you want most of the time. Now you actually can't do this as close to the ground as you could before. At least it doesn't feel like that. It is weird. And then like they also go into it in depth with how the move priority system works. So input priority for quarter circle and DP special moves. This refers to the general input mechanism for the game, not to change made in this patch. When input simultaneously including deep quarter circle and DP motion is prioritized. But when a half circle is input, quarter circle is prioritized. So basically DP, I don't even know if Baiken doesn't have a DP motion move, but basically DP before a quarter circle, but quarter circle before a half circle, if moves are on top of each other. That was previously a hidden mechanic, but we decided to rule the iconics with the above change to how moves are handled. So basically, because they did this change, this used to be hidden knowledge, but now they thought they might as well talk about it because they're making changes to it. Which is also, it's kind of weird that they wanted to make that like a hidden thing before. Like, just tell us that kind of stuff. Like, it's not gonna make a difference for casual players, but it makes a huge difference for us as competitors, because it's good for us to know why you might sometimes drop stuff. But it is what it is. Special move cancelling into overdrive before coming out. This change, although it has several purposes, is mainly intended to make it easier to perform overdrives, which is the supers, where part of the input is the same as the special move. Example, what could this be, and what could this be? The WW what? So basically, now, beforehand, so if you were mashing in like some kind of block stun or maybe on wake up or something, you might be mashing a with force. Force is a good example. You might be mashing to get a toss an item out. Because your character is in the middle of doing a move and you're buffering into doing the toss. If you had meter before, it would be very easy to get the super. No, beforehand, if you wanted to do the super, it might come out as just a normal move. Now they made it so that it is easier to get the super when you have meter over the normal move. So they basically just flip the priority of and like it's looking more for like the full input instead of like just one of the inputs. That's how I understand it, at least. I can't really show it off, and I don't really like. I never noticed it before, so I can't really tell. Input priority for normal moves. Under certain conditions, inputs for crouching normals and command normals will now be prioritized over standing normals. For example, previously when input down S during a hit stop of close standing S, if released down S quickly fast standing S would come out. However, with this change, crouching S will come out. And this is actually really interesting to me because like this is really big for Sato, because I noticed a lot of the time I would get standing S, standing fire S instead of crouching S because it wasn't as lenient in hit stop. So basically, when you got a counter hit close S like this, beforehand you kind of had to, like as I'm doing now, hold down the S throughout the hit stop and press the S button. But now, if you get this, you just need to. You can basically. It just needs to record once that you're doing a down plus S move. Whereas before, if you did this, you would most likely get a standing fire S. That's pretty cool. Big change for Sato because a lot of the time you want the crouch S because it knocks back the opponent less and doesn't have double hit. So interesting for Sato. Other universal changes for characters. Jumping attacks. As many characters had less utility for their jumping P compared to their area attacks, we adjusted the blowback effect on hit, making it easier to convert into combos. And this is kind of funny to me because it looks a bit wonky now. It doesn't look bad, it just looks a bit wonky. Because like that's really close now. You can basically do stuff like that. And I don't know if you can. That's way easier to do now. Oh, that's kind of funny to do. I don't know if you can do something else like yeah, stuff like that makes air combos easier, which is fun. So that's kind of fun. And also something, Sato's jumping P, you would never, we'll get to that with Sato, but basically this is also a change that helps Sato's jumping P because beforehand you would never really get all the hits of Sato's jumping P, where now it's basically guaranteed from what I've seen to get all the hits of it. Dash cancels. This took me off guard that they did this. And I'm kind of sad you didn't get my first reaction to this. While this was previously only available to some characters, all characters with dashes can now dash cancel from standing K and close standing S. And this is so tight. Like, it just looks really fun. It just looks really fun. It makes for some really fun combo opportunities, freestyle combo opportunities where the other character is floating. A lot of the time when a character is floating, you do stand S, close S on them. Into like, because they was jump cancelable, you would do stuff like that, when they're floating. But now you can maybe even find some fun stuff with like this into dash cancel into something else. And as they say, in addition to increasing the variety of offensive options, this also creates new combos if you quickly cancel the dash into a special move. And this timing is point. I can barely get it. I have seen it and I have done it a few times, but it's hard to do. I'm kind of like surprised at how hard this is to do. Because there's definitely a window, and if you exceed that window, it's not coming out. But yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how much stuff we can gonna get for that from that. And then they say here at the end, overall damage adjustment. Some highly used moves with greater versatility have had their damage decreased. Overdrives that work well as counter hit attacks have had that attack startup recovery, etc. revised, with the damage remaining unchanged to make it easier to punish when blocked. And yeah, that's overall the changes. Now they have these boxes down here. We don't need to go through them all. Let's take it from here. So, blue Psych Burst. When the player inputs Psych Burst before the opponent's overdrive activates, the Psych Burst activation will no longer be cancelled. And I think what they're referencing here is sometimes someone would do a burst. Yeah, sometimes someone would do a burst, and right before they do the burst, a super is about to happen. Yeah, so basically they do this right before super starts, but the guy had already committed to doing a super, if that makes sense. It just hadn't started yet, so you could do a burst so you wouldn't get hit by the super, which was kind of weird because supers was supposed to be the thing where you couldn't be able to, like, you know, burst out of it. So I think they just changed that. Fixed a box where the activation of Psych Burst hitbox would be delayed under certain circumstances. Didn't really notice that. When activated above a certain height in the air, the speed a character rises at is now reduced. And I think that is to counteract Mei and Ram burst safe combos. I don't know if that's what happened, but it feels like that's like that's the idea. Like, this is way it doesn't rise as far up in the air now when you do it in the air. So that's interesting. Dash when input using the dash button, inputting back directly after the action begins no longer performs a backdash. So basically, you could press dash and then press backwards before, and you'd get a backdash. Where now, you need to hold back and then press the dash button. Danger. Which is interesting. There might be some charge stuff with it. That's the reason it done. Then there's the input priority thing we already talked about. Some jumping noise, depending on the current movement speed of the attacking character, the launch and the blowback of the opponent is on hit now changes. The change applies to jumping norms not previously impacted by the above mechanic. I think that's the jump punch thing they talked about before. Special moves can now be cancelled into overdrive before the move comes out. See, I don't know if I can do that with Viking, but basically what they're saying is you can cancel I think that's the first thing. So if the move isn't out yet, you accidentally do a toss, normal toss. You can cancel if it's in startup frames and the move isn't like out yet, you can cancel it into a super. So, but I don't know how that looks. And I don't know how it would mash that out with the Viking. But I think that's how it is. Some overdrives are now affected by prior movement, such as dash momentum. Okay. I don't want to see that. So basically you don't go to a stop if you start... I mean, that's probably some. Maybe it's the utility super, so... Yeah, look how she's kind of floating. Like she's kind of moving forward as doing it. Interesting. I don't know if it was that like that before, but it seems like that. Faultless defense. Added a faultless defense button. Decrease the amount of tension gauge depleted when blocking. So you get more of this, which is nice. More meter for defensive options. So that's good because that ran out quick when you're blocking some characters like Ram. Wall stick. When wall stick initiates sometimes with a super flash over certain overdrives, the wall stick effect will now be prioritized. I guess this is some Eno stuff, maybe. I can think of like Eno for this, maybe even Sato, but I can't really think of situations where I've seen a Sato show. Fix the bug where there would be a variation of the distance between the character after the wall break sequence, depending on the. Oh right, I remember this one. I read when I did this the first time. That was so weird. That there's a bug depending on the stages and depending on what super you ended the wall splat with. The distance between the characters were different on when it wasn't always the same when they went to the new stage after the break, and I've never noticed that, but that sounds like a fun bug. Imagine Axel just getting like full screen away after wall breaking someone. That would be hilarious. Froze. Fix the bug where the risk level would deplete more than intended and activating Roman cancels during a throw under certain conditions. Sounds just like a nice fix. Arrow direction switch. Characters can now switch directions to face the opponent when cancelling some jumping normals into other move late into the animation. I don't think I can show this, but basically the way Strive and I think basically Guilty Gear's work, the character kind of faces. If you do a move and then like crosses up, the character's gonna keep on that side if you see like that. So until they land there still, but if you wait, you can see they switch aside. Like that they can switch side. And basically what they're saying is if you do this and like you hit while facing the other way from the opponent, the follow-up move will change direction now. Is what I'm understanding from it. I don't really have a character in mind I can show that with, but good to know. Fix the bug where sometimes only crouching moves could be performed under certain conditions. From jump landing. Fair enough. A fun little bug. And then a list of the buttons. So standing P, standing K, crouching K, jumping P, jumping K. All now trigger slowdown effect on counter hit. Then they have some stuff with standing K can now be dash cancelled. Yeah, as we read. Does not apply to Potemkin and Aguyugi. RIP. Now launches opponents less than previously when used multiple times in the same combo. Okay, so basically less flow state if you use the move a lot in this in consecutive stuff in combos. Close standing is can now be dash cancelled, does not apply to Potemkin and Narugi. Now launches opponent less than previously when used multiple times in the same combo. So the same thing. They float less and less if the more standing as you do, close as you do, sorry. Some hurt boxes adjusted the size of some hurt boxes while taking damage. Mid-damage hurt boxes that were more difficult than others to hit during combos have been expanded. Okay, so they made some combos easier that would drop out a lot because of like the hurt box being wonky. Cool. Yeah, I really like the universal changes. I feel like they're gonna do a lot to the game, especially like this new RC thing. Oh, you can even do control, but like this is probably gonna do a lot to offensive stuff, and it's gonna create a barrier of like good players and bad players, because a good player will try to get the most out of it, and with good I mean a really optimal player will do stuff like this to get more out of his offense, while it creates a gap where players that are just playing more for fun or don't really want to be at the highest level probably just gonna wait, because there's a slowdown, so why not just wait. So that's like there's a hit confirming part of this where like now there's a difference between levels, because like beforehand there wasn't really a reason to try and cancel besides certain combos. There were certain combos where you kind of needed to do that, So yeah, cool stuff. The second one is the counter hit on the punches. That's really big, especially for Sato. I can imagine Sato is probably gonna get some new fun combos from that because the counter hit stuff. And it's kind of insane because Sato's 5p and 2p, his two punches on the ground, has huge range. So yeah, it's probably gonna do a lot, I can imagine. And the last universal thing, the dash canceling, this stuff right here. I don't know. I have a hard time figuring out what to do with it. I can see where I want to try to do it with Sato, but I think I need to see some lab monsters go to work before I'm like, oh my god, this is sick. But it's cool that it's universal now, and it's cool they gave it that little effect. I don't know why, I really love that. I really love that small effect. It looks nice. It looks cool. So all cool system changes. And yeah, let's dive into characters now, shall we? See you in the next video.